Hi and welcome to this video of my top 10 tips for new model makers. Remember, if you enjoy it or find it useful, please take the time to like the video below, and while you're there, why not subscribe as well to see videos of other projects as they're completed. Making model kits is a creative and relaxing hobby, and we've all learnt about the importance of hobbies to our mental well-being recently. I've aimed this video at anyone just starting out, with tips to help make great models with a few little tricks. Throughout the video I'll have flags like this one in the bottom right, just to point out that there's a link in the description below to buy whatever it is I'm talking about. Now, I'm not sponsored by anyone and I'm not endorsing specific products. These are just things that I've bought and liked or that I would gladly buy. Enough of that, let's get going. Top tip number 1, get tooled up. A basic set of tools will make life so much easier for you and is worth investing in if you're going to be building more kits. First up is a cutting mat. It gives a secure surface to work on and protects your furniture, and a good one will last for absolute ages. Next is a side cutter. This allows you to snip parts off the sprues cleanly and minimises the risk of doing any damage. You will need a craft knife or a scalpel with fine blades. Use this to clean up parts, shape pieces, cut out small decals and to trim painting masks. And of course, where there's a craft knife, a steel rule is crucial for safety. Next is a small hand drill and a range of bits. Now, many kits have options that require various holes to be drilled in them, and doing it precisely is essential to getting a good fit of parts. A set of tweezers is next. There'll be many times when chunky fingers like mine just won't get part A to fit nicely into part B, or where fine adjustment is needed. You should think of a set of clamps to hold parts together while glue dries. This is particularly useful for larger pieces like fuselage halves and wings. It will save a lot of filling in later. Now, you can get sets of tools like these available in money-saving packages. There are many around, so have a look, see what suits you best. You will need some standing sticks, but I'll be talking a bit more about that in a minute. And finally, there's glue, usually polystyrene cement. These days, instead of the old familiar tubes, modelers go for something like this, with a very fine tube to give good control of how much glue you use and where it goes. I happen to use this one by Revel. There are many available. Now on to tip 2, sanding sticks, and you will thank me for this. You'll get through lots of these as you make your models, sanding down parts to fit correctly, sanding down filler you've used, all kinds of things. My top tip is make your own. First, buy a pack of a variety of sandpaper grades. The grade is how harsh the paper is. The higher the number, the smoother the finish. You can make a whole set of sticks from an aggressive 120 grit through to, say, a 5000 grit for the smoothest of finishes. All you really need are some wooden lolly sticks. Draw out the size of the stick on the back of the sandpaper and cut the paper to size. Then just use a simple white PVA glue to bond the sandpaper to the stick, but don't forget, write the grit number on the back of the stick too. Now, when your sanding stick gets too clogged to use, just tear the paper off and replace it. Now, top tip 3 is very important. The first thing to do with your kit when you take it out the bag is to wash the parts in a gentle detergent. Now, this gets rid of any residue of release oils from the moulding process and helps provide a good key for painting later on. Wash, rinse and air dry. I always follow this myself with a light coating of primer. Top tip 4, try to paint the smaller pieces while they're still on the sprue. They get lots of support and they definitely won't get lost. Make sure you have a range of brushes, they're cheap enough as sets these days, and you'll soon start getting your favourites. If you have to take small pieces off the sprue, such as tyres, why not try using cocktail sticks to allow you to access all the surface. Top tip 5 is to practice dry brushing. Now, this is a technique for making pieces stand out and creating the illusion of fine detail. It works especially well on black painted things such as cockpit interiors or radio sets. Use a tiny amount of paint on a dry brush, wipe it a few times until just a hint of paint is left, then brush it against the model. Where there's relief, the edges will catch the white. This is very, very good for instrument panels. Top tip 6, master the use of masking tape. Now, most of the time you'll use masking tape to help create clean lines when you're painting, especially spray painting. However, it can be used for other things. For example, if the kit you're building doesn't have seat belts, use thin strips of masking tape instead. I'm not saying they're going to look as good as an aftermarket photo etched set of belts, but I find that at 1/72 at least, and as long as you don't look too closely, they're convincing enough, especially with closed canopies. On now to decals, and top tip number 7 is to use reverse tweezers to hold the decal sheets. Now, these tweezers grip unless you press them, so they hold onto the paper all the time. This is really helpful when doing very fine decals such as information stencils. You can just use water for decals, but I like to use these two products as well. You brush microset onto the model where the decal is going, and it helps position the decal and allows it to set very cleanly. The other, microsol, is used where the decal crosses a bit of detail such as a panel line. You brush a bit on and the decal partly dissolves almost. It just melts enough to mould into the piece below. And you'll need all these details to be seen because in top tip 8 we're going to accentuate them with the use of weathering powders. These are very fine powders in various colours that you mix with water or a special solvent, then brush into the details like panel lines. You can build these mixes up bit by bit to make an aircraft look used. These powders are also great as a quick and easy wash to bring out details in moulding such as a cockpit wall or inside wheel wells. Top tip 9, keep it crystal. Keeping transparencies clear and bright is a great way of making your model look sharp. To glue transparencies to your kit, use a PVA glue such as microcrystal. This dries transparent so you can't see it, but it doesn't have the gases that get let off by polystyrene cement and some superglues, which can craze transparencies. Finally, top tip 10, keep it light. Now, for any clear light fittings such as landing lights, paint the back of the transparent part with silver, and this gives it the look of having a reflector behind it. You can also use silver paint to make things like navigation lights if they're not provided. First of all, paint the lens area with the silver and then overpaint with a transparent colour. Now remember, use red for the left and green for the right. So that's the top 10. To summarise: 1. Get a selection of simple tools, nothing too grand just yet. 2. Make your own sanding sticks and save yourself lots of money. 3. Always remember, wash, rinse, dry and prime. 4. Paint smaller parts of your kit on the sprue. 5. Use dry brushing to provide quick and convincing detail. 6. Make your own seat belts from masking tape. 7. Always use reverse tweezers to hold decal papers. 8. Experiment with weathering powders to add definition and contrast. 9. Say goodbye to chemical haze on canopies by using PVA glue. And 10. Use silver paint to emphasise or even create lights. So if you're trying out model making for the first time, or you're coming back after a break of decades like I did, then do try some of these simple tips and experiment with them as well. Now, if you found this video useful and interesting, please remember to like it below, and while you're there, please subscribe to my channel for more build videos and the like. Happy model making, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.